Hey guys, tired of feeling stuck in your dating life and striking out in the dating game? You're not alone. Maybe you just need some good coaching. Welcome to Just Ask Her, the no BS podcast for real dating advice straight from a woman's point of view. Dating expert Gracie Pleshcourt and her co-host, certified life coach Tracy Pleshcourt, are here to give you the play-by-play on how to attract more women you're interested in. So, let's take back control of your dating life. This is Just Ask Her.
Welcome back to episode 3 of Just Ask Her. We are very excited to be here. I think we have said that 3 weeks in a row now, but I have to say that this podcast has really become a talking point in my little social circle. Every time I see somebody I haven't seen, recently, this is what they bring up. And they actually bring up specific submissions.
That's so fun.
Yeah, which I think is kind of fun. And so I am like sitting there recalling the story. And that very much makes me appreciate the way that people submit their stories.
Yeah.
Like the first one today is going to be so memorable. So we won't take too much of your time on the front end. What I do want to say is if you know somebody who has been cheated on, please forward this podcast to them. This episode, I think, will really help them. First off, know that they're not alone. This happens probably way more than you think. And it's such a devastating time of life that it's hard to be intentional with your thoughts and feelings, much less know what is the next step. So hopefully we can help people that have found themselves, particularly men, in this situation.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that this is definitely a highlight of my week. It's so exciting every time we get new submissions and get to like kind of read through them and
you get to come home.
Yep, and I come home to come record the podcast. So yeah, for I guess anybody that doesn't know, I recently moved. And so we've been in a little transition period.
No bueno.
I lived at home for a bit and I just recently moved out. And so I'm not that far away. I'm only about
far enough.
Yeah, I'm not that far away. I'm close enough to travel back home for the podcast for you guys so that we can record this podcast for you. But it is nice. I mean, we get to hang out in the same room rather than over Zoom.
Yeah.
Like we typically do for work. So it's always fun getting to come back specifically for the podcast and to just like get to sit down and chat for an hour. So
yeah. Well, let's get into it. Do you want me to take the first one?
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so the first one is from Anonymous, and we titled it, "My girlfriend of 4 years cheated with our employee. Can we rebuild or is it over?" Hi, Gracie and Tracy. I met my girlfriend 4 years ago through a mutual friend. We initially connected virtually because she lived across the country, and our mutual friend recommended she ask me about a professional situation in our shared industry. After our first Zoom call, we started talking regularly by phone. It quickly became clear this was more than just a professional connection. So I asked her, "Hey, am I off base or is there something here?" She agreed that there was, and we made plans to meet in person. Before that could happen, we spent months talking daily, texting constantly, and sharing our vision boards. Oh my God, a man after my own heart. I love vision boards. We discovered a surprising amount of overlap in what we wanted out of life, starting with a family, having 3 kids, building a remote business, traveling the world, prioritizing health and fitness, and living an adventurous life filled with surfing, skydiving, and music. It was during COVID, so we met in Florida because, well, it's Florida. That first date turned into 2 weeks together, and by the end, we decided she would relocate so we could start our life together. For 3 years, everything was incredible. We checked off so many goals on our list: 16 countries, 26 states, countless adventures, and even bought another company in our industry. We grew revenue and built a great team atmosphere. until one of our managers, Danielle, left. This left our other manager, Shane, picking up the slack and working more closely with my girlfriend and de facto fiance, Charlotte. Shane had become one of our best friends. We spent so much time together at work, at the gym, and on double dates with him and his wife. But I'm sure you see where this is going. Charlotte and Shane had an affair. Charlotte confessed to me immediately. I was crushed, but in hindsight, I could see how it happened. They were spending more time together and working closely as a team while I was out in the field most days. I also think she admired him. He's stronger than me physically and in areas where I'm weak, like fiscal responsibility and reliability. This isn't an excuse for what happened, but I recognize my part in the breakdown. Charlotte often expressed concerns about my personal debt from a previous business and wanted it resolved before we got married. While I always agreed, I didn't follow through. I'd book vacations or splurge on luxuries instead. I didn't take her concerns seriously, and it hurt our relationship. When I found out about the affair, I wanted to fire Shane immediately. Charlotte said she would handle it since she had already ruined his marriage and didn't want to cost him his livelihood. Shane begged for his job back, promising it would never happen again. Against my better judgment, I let him return after a brief suspension. I forgave both of them because I'm Christian and believe in forgiveness, but forgiving doesn't mean forgetting or pretending that nothing had happened. Within 2 weeks, I was passive-aggressive and jealous. The three of us sat down and Shane admitted he loved her and wanted to be with her. I told him to get the F out. He refused unless she told him to leave, and she didn't. She just sat there crying. I told Charlotte we were leaving, and we did. I explained that I could forgive a one-time mistake, but what hurt more was her inability to make a clear decision between me and Shane. After a few weeks, she told me she wanted to explore a relationship with him. I was devastated and told her to move out. She did, and she also moved in with Shane, and I became persona non grata in my own business. We are 50-50 partners. It's been a few months, and she's clearly not doing well. She's admitted she made a huge mistake, can't forgive herself, and realizes Shane isn't what she was looking for. She had that with me. But instead of taking steps toward reconciliation, she's focused on making the company successful, thinking it will somehow make me proud. I've told her that no amount of money could make up for what was lost. Here's the thing. I want her back. I'd like to rebuild our dream together with therapy and hard work, but I believe she needs to take the decisive step away from Shane and toward me. At the same time, I've started dating other women, but none of them compare. I need clarity. First, we get back together, commit to therapy, and rebuild our dream. Or I find out once and for all that we're never getting back together. Here's my plan. I want to write her a letter to be opened on Christmas. In it, I'll tell her how I feel, that I forgive her, and that I'll always choose her. I'll apologize for my shortcomings and commit to doing the work in therapy. She recently admitted she needs therapy as well. I'll cast a vision for our future and ask her to call me if she feels the same. I'll fly to her area and wait for her call. If it's positive, I'll go to her house with flowers and knock on the door while she's still on the phone. We reconcile, and then I'll fly home. Is this plan stupid? Probably, but at least I'll have an answer. The last few months have been hell, and I need to move forward one way or another. I want to rebuild our amazing life or close this door forever and weld it shut. If it's the latter, I can only hope a woman as smart and stunning as Gracie stumbles into my life someday. Thanks, Anonymous.
Well, you're no short of a sweet talker, that's for sure, my friend.
It got us to pick the submission.
That is not what got us to pick the submission.
I mean, his way with words.
Yeah, you are, I mean, honestly, the whole time you're reading, I'm just like, I'm trying not to cut in and let you get through the story, but it's hard.
It's captivating.
It is.
I feel like I'm reading a romance novel.
Yeah.
I can completely envision him being just around the corner as he's calling her or she's calling him, and him hitting go on the plan. So
yeah,
very well thought out. And we very much appreciate you writing in and being so vulnerable with this situation. it's clear that you have absolutely poured your heart into this relationship and now are navigating very difficult crossroads. So thank you. I think that betrayal and this uncertainty can feel like a crappy roller coaster that you can't get off.
Yeah.
Your desire for clarity is completely valid. I think acknowledging the strength that it takes to consider forgiveness and to have so much self reflection and taking responsibility and being willing to move forward, whether together or not, is huge. So, bravo, my friend.
I have so many thoughts. You have so many thoughts.
Well, do share.
Yeah. So I know that this is such a difficult situation, and it's so hard when you have so many feelings involved. It's not like, even when you get cheated on, it's not like the feelings just go away. So for anybody listening to this that's like, how are you even considering taking her back? Like, it is, if you've never been in the situation, it's so easy to take that stance of like, oh, you should just drop it, because why would you go back to that? But when you've been in the situation, you understand how difficult it is to detach your feelings from the situation. And so I completely understand why you're sitting in a position where you want to reconcile this and you want to make it work. I also think that there is a lot that you should be sitting down and considering before uprooting your life for this person again. And I think that what you're doing right now is you are trying to control a circumstance that is very much outside of your control. And I think the reason why you're still so connected to this has more to do with your idea of what you want this relationship to be rather than what this relationship is. And my personal opinion and professional opinion, if she can do it to you once, she can do it to you again. And just because she's recognizing that she made a mistake with Shane doesn't mean that she doesn't still have the doubts or the worries or whatever it was that drove her to Shane in the first place about your guys' relationship. I always tell clients, unless something significant has changed in both of your lives, likely what you're going to see when it comes to going back to a past relationship is a lot of the same story. And so while, yes, we could argue that there has been a lot that has changed in her life, it doesn't sound like there has been a lot that has changed in your life. And I don't even necessarily know if there's a whole lot that you can change to make her see this relationship different than it is.
Yeah. Yeah. I think his plan is thoughtful.
Very.
It's incredibly detailed.
It's straight out of a romance
Yeah.
movie. If you listened to episode 2 and you were like, oh, wait till you hear this. I'm proud of you, but also.
Yeah. I would say you need to take a step back and really evaluate if this plan truly serves you and your long-term well-being.
Yeah.
That's the priority right now. So I would say some of the strengths of your plan is, writing a letter that allows you to express your thoughts, which is perfect. Really pinpointing what it is that you're feeling, giving her an opportunity to kind of process without immediate pressure. That's kind of the strategy behind a letter, is that there isn't really any sort of time pressures attached to it. I think, again, you've reflected on your shortcomings, which shows emotional maturity and this huge willingness to grow. That is so obvious. Anybody who does vision boards has a has a drive for personal growth.
You caught her right at the beginning.
Yes, you hooked me. And then you're setting some boundaries that she has to take this decisive step forward towards you for reconciliation to happen. So I think those are the wins of your plan. What concerns me with your plan is waiting for her call is going to leave you feeling more vulnerable and dependent on her response, right? So you, just like Gracie just said, you're trying to control something that's outside of your control, and that feels gross. Flying to her area and showing up at her front door might feel romantic. It definitely sounds romantic. I just think you're probably not going to get a true assessment of her feelings because you show up at her front door. There's pressure right there.
Yeah.
She's probably going to feel intimidated in that moment and overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And is probably going to say what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Not what she's really thinking and feeling, which is the problem in the first place.
It's a strategy that might work short term, but definitely isn't going to play out long term.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just think based on what you've told us, her indecision in the past is suggesting that she might not be capable of making this clear choice that you're hoping for.
Yeah. And people for sure can change. It's not that we don't think that your ex is capable of change, but it doesn't sound like she wants to. Like, it doesn't. She went to this guy for all of about how many months and now is trying to go back. Like, it doesn't sound like she has a clear idea of what it is that she wants or doesn't have right now the loyalty.
She doesn't have the capacity, I don't think. Like, this doesn't have as much to do with Anonymous as it does with her. Like, she's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And, I'm not shaming her. Like, everybody does make mistakes.
Yeah.
And she's learning through this. But Anonymous has everything going for him. Yeah. And he has such a vivid vision of what it is that he wants. And he's only seen her as filling the, the mate part of it. I would say stay on the path and focused on what it is that you want and find the right person to fill that void. Maybe it's her, but I don't think it's her right now. And so I think that exploring more options is going to probably clarify your vision for sure. Like, right now, it's probably seeming a little foggy and, not as clear as it once was. Yeah. As you meet new people, new desires are going to be brought out within you.
Yeah.
So I would ask yourself, like, what do you need from her to feel secure in this relationship again? I think that's a super important question to ask yourself. It's not just about her choosing you. It's about her taking active steps to rebuild trust and demonstrate commitment, I would think. Mm-hmm. Right? Like, I think what he needs is a level of trust that it doesn't, we don't really know if she's there yet. Yeah. And so ask yourself that question. What do I need from her to feel secure in this relationship again? And not minimally. Like, what do I minimally need? It's like, no, what is it that I need? Like, my gosh, you are so straightforward in what it is that you want from your life. Do not waffle on this critical component.
Yeah. And
I would also ask, are you truly ready for the hard work of reconciliation? That, my friend, is not easy. Like, this is the hardest
not
work you'll
easy
ever
if the
do.
other person doesn't want it.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost impossible if the other person doesn't want it. And you said it yourself. Instead of taking steps towards reconciliation, she's focused on making the company successful. that does not scream somebody that wants to work on a relationship and fix the relationship or fix the mistakes that she's claiming to make. That sounds like somebody that feels guilty and somebody that still, of course, cares about you. Yeah. And of course, I'm sure all of her feelings are real and she does feel horrible and she does probably still have a lot of love for you. That doesn't mean that she's in love with you. Mm-hmm. And I think that there are just too many big red flags with this, that your message at the bottom is like, we either get back together, commit to therapy, which she has not said, or at least you didn't say if she said that she's willing to do.
She said, I think you said she knows she needs it.
Yeah, that's not saying that she
right. That's not,
would
those are
to
two
it.
different things.
Those are two different things. And so you said we get back together, commit to therapy, and rebuild our dream. Again, I don't know that you both are aligned on that dream fully. Or you find out once and for all that you're never getting back together. And those don't really seem like the valid options. Those don't seem like, they definitely don't have to be your only two options.
No, I was just going to say that's super black and white.
Yeah.
And typically you self-sabotage when you have that binary way of thinking. So
yeah,
I would just start asking yourself some really important questions. Again, like, what happens if her response isn't what you want?
Yeah.
Like, really ask yourself that honestly. Where do you go from there? Like, are you ready? I do think you are. I think you have the capacity to walk away and focus on your own healing if she doesn't reciprocate.
But why does it have to get to her? Why does it have to get to you putting out all the effort to fix something she broke to find out that she's not really in it? Like, it sounds like you are making a lot of sacrifices and you might be willing to do that, but why?
Yeah.
Why would you do that to yourself?
And if you, after listening to this, have asked yourself some of these harder questions and you have decided that you want to move forward pursuing her, I would write the letter, but send it by mail.
Yeah, do not fly out there.
Let the letter do the talking without adding any of that emotional pressure of waiting nearby for her response.
Yeah. Because also like, get really real with yourself about why you would be doing that. Is it because you want her to see you some sort of way? Is it because you think she'll be more likely to say yes? Is it because, like, what is the legitimate reason that you want to fly out there?
Yeah.
Because it's not to give her the letter.
You're speaking to the person who loves to romanticize and
all
make the most.
do.
Like, it's also on Christmas. He's writing a letter to send her on Christmas Day.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it probably would, and I'm not saying this to send you off to go do it. It probably would work short term. That is you putting out a lot of effort and putting your life on hold and doing all of these things for somebody else and sacrificing your, like, mental and emotional well-being for somebody else who has not given you reason to believe that you should.
Yeah.
For what? Like,
So write the letter, but send it by mail.
Yes.
Give her the space
yes.
to process your words and reflect on her own feelings.
Put the ball in her court.
Yeah. And I would also, you can put the ball in her court, but set some clear expectations for
if
reconciliation.
If she does come back.
Exactly.
After sending the letter.
Be very specific about what it is that you need from her in order to rebuild this relationship. For example, do you need Shane to be completely out of the picture? Are you going to require couples therapy, individual therapy?
But this is why, like, caveat, this is also why reconciliation after something like this, it 100% needs to be on her. And also, it's like, the work is so extensive because, like, let's say she follows all of these ultimatums and all of these guides and meets all of your requirements. Like, do you want to be in a relationship that can't survive unless Shane's out of the picture? Like, if that's how you really feel, then it probably won't survive. Like, these are the things. It's why it makes it so hard. It's why, and I know that couples can come back from affairs. I'm not saying that, but it's got to be two-sided. It can't be you wanting all of these things and her just seeming to want them too.
Right.
It has to take her commitment and her actually taking steps or actually making the effort to reconcile this. It can't be all you.
Yeah. So I would say in the meantime, you know, as you have written and sent the letter by mail, in the meantime, focus on your own healing. Continue dating. Continue focusing on yourself, rebuilding your own emotional foundation and doing things that will help you move forward no matter what the outcome.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I would also say prepare yourself for any outcome. Remind yourself that you are capable of handling any outcome. I'm not saying worry about it. Remind yourself that you have the capacity.
Mm-hmm.
You've actually already been through the worst.
Yeah.
Right? Something that is, you know, so shocking and takes you so by surprise is typically the worst when you're asking people to kind of foreshadow these unwanted feelings. That's typically the response I get is something to that nature. So you've already been through it. So now I would say start to kind of prepare yourself for any outcome without worrying. So you're doing it in a very confident, proactive way. You can start thinking about what are the obstacles? What are my strategies for overcoming certain obstacles? Work on balancing your heart and your head. You seem like a huge romantic, and I think that that's amazing. I think love alone is not enough to sustain a relationship, especially relationships that need this kind of work. So you're both going to need to take an active role, active steps forward for healing, for the accountability, for the trust. And so preparing yourself for what that's going to look like. And I guess I can't stress enough, prioritizing your own well-being is going to be a boundary that you have to set. It's got to be you first to keep yourself from further hurt.
Yeah, I think in the meantime, after sending the letter, it needs to be like you are your number one priority. It's getting back to the things that make you happy, that fill you up in life. Surround yourself with the people that love and support you and who you love to be around. And I think that should be the number one priority, and you getting back to loving life without her will make decisions about how you move forward with or without her a lot clearer, because you won't be making them from this place of like scarcity, of like needing her in your life. Rebuild your life so that you can experience those happy and fulfilled emotions without her.
Yeah.
And then make decisions.
Make Charlotte kind of the value added, right? Like you've got it going on. You have so much to offer. You clearly know the kind of life you want to live.
Yeah.
Think of Charlotte as value added. I think that's, that whole, I don't remember what movie it was where You Complete Me. What was that?
You Complete Me?
You probably weren't even born yet.
It was an old movie. You Complete Me.
Oh my God. It's a Tom Cruise movie.
Wait, is that what the title is?
No, but it's like a line in the movie that went viral back in, 25 years ago when things didn't really go viral, but it's still used.
What's that airplane movie?
It's not an airplane movie. No.
The Tom Cruise one?
Like Mission Impossible or something?
No, the like fighter jet one.
No.
What movie is that? Why am I blanking on that title?
Oh, Top Gun.
Top Gun. Yeah, it's not that.
It's not. This was with Zellweger. It's the.
I have no idea who that is.
Okay, forget it. It's a line that I feel like people have used where they're, in the moment, they will say, "You complete me. Like, you're everything I've been looking for, and now life is complete with you."
Yeah.
And I think that sometimes sets you up for sabotage because you've got an amazing life. And what you're looking for is something that can add more value. Not like you're not below baseline looking for somebody to bring you to baseline.
Yeah.
You're actually above baseline and you are looking for more value to be added.
Mm-hmm.
That's the posture that I would make sure, you're holding.
Yeah.
So I believe that however this plays out, you have already demonstrated so much resilience and self-awareness. And if Charlotte is ready to meet you halfway, you do have the foundation to rebuild.
Mm-hmm.
You do, right?
Mm-hmm.
The question is more on her side. And do you really want to put some of your ambitions on hold to do the work to reconcile? And I think it's a fair question to be asking of somebody who is clearly so ambitious.
Yeah. Well, and and obviously you know the relationship better than we do. And so we're giving you an outsider's perspective on it. You have to do what's best for you. I just think that there needs to be a lot of thought put into this on your own without her before making any decisions. And then, I think also with the letter, it just needs to be sent off and you put the ball in her court from there until you hear from her and then you take steps forward after that.
Yeah. I mean, either way, you're on a path for exciting growth for sure. We're rooting for you. We'd love to hear how this unfolds. Hopefully we've been able to give you a different perspective and a different lens to look through. So thank you so much for writing in. And if you, like we said, if you're a listener and you know somebody who this perspective could help, please forward this on to them.
Yeah. And I just saw that on Spotify, you can leave comments underneath episodes. So for anybody listening that's like wanting to give us their thoughts, please write it.
Suck.
No, thoughts on this situation or any of the other situations that we read moving forward, leave them in the comments and get a thread going, because I am so curious to know what other males' perspectives on this situation in particular are.
Yeah. And somebody hopefully will remember the movie.
Yeah. If you know the movie, she's talking about, put that in the comments too.
Yeah. Okay. Do you want to take the second one?
Yep.
All right.
Okay. So this is from Anonymous and it's titled, "Should I Keep Trying or Move On? Navigating a long distance talking stage." Hi, Gracie and Tracy. I'm 24 and haven't been in a relationship since my sophomore year of high school. I recently graduated from college and I'm trying to land a job in the field I studied. I just met a girl on a dating app who seems super nice and genuinely sweet, but there are two problems. She lives about 5 hours away and it's really hard to get a conversation going with her. The distance isn't a huge deal for me. The job I'm pursuing would have me traveling all over the country throughout the year. So even if I started seeing someone local, I might be halfway across the country in a few months. What's really bugging me is the communication. After matching on the app, we moved to Snapchat, which in hindsight may have not been the best move. Some days our conversations flow naturally and it feels great. But then within a few days, it's like pulling teeth to get her to engage. I'll ask her about her day or try to ask her questions about herself, and she'll often ignore them. It's frustrating and has made me overthink things at times. My schedule is already packed. I juggle multiple jobs, and my weekends are often
taken up by work. That's made it hard to meet new people in person. Dating apps have been very hit or miss for me, with more misses than hits. I've been in a few talking stages since my last relationship, but I haven't been able to move beyond that in the past 7 years. So here's my question. Do I keep trying with this girl, or is it time to move on and look for something else? If I do move on, do you have any tips for what would be the next move? Thanks, Anonymous.
Oh, well, first off, as a mom, I have to say congratulations on graduating college and working towards your goals. I think that's a huge accomplishment.
If you just need some love and support from your podcast mama, write your submissions in.
Okay. Anyways,
I don't think men get enough of it, so you go off and you tell all of them, okay?
And I also think it's completely normal to feel a little bit stuck when it comes to dating, especially when you're juggling a very busy schedule.
Yeah.
And you're navigating these crazy modern dating apps. I can't even imagine. I literally cannot imagine how challenging that must be. I get a glimpse through reading some of these submissions, and ironically, we get a lot of submissions that sound a lot like this one. So
yeah, we've gotten a lot of submissions in the last 24 hours.
Yes. And I was reading through them, and so many of them sounded just like this. So hence the reason we picked this one. But I think you're asking all of the right questions, and we're happy that we can help you unpack this.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, like you said, I think that this is such a interesting stage of your life, right? There's a lot changing. There's a lot going on. And so have a little grace for yourself in the process, because there are so many new things changing for you. This job sounds like it's very demanding. And so it makes sense that you're feeling a little stuck, and that's okay. I think, and we've talked about this before, but when it comes to dating, if you want to make it a priority, that does mean that you have to start figuring out how to build it into your schedule, even a busy one, right? And so I understand relying heavily on the dating apps for that reason. I wouldn't rely solely on the dating apps, especially if you're not having as much luck as you would like, or if you're not having very much luck. I think that you would definitely benefit from learning how to approach new women that you find interesting in real life. And it's easy to use a busy schedule as an excuse not to do that. Oftentimes, when I work with clients, it has more to do with the fears and anxieties of doing something like that rather than the busy schedule itself. So again, have some grace for yourself, have some empathy. This is a process. This is a learning curve, but you're very capable of doing it, right? And if you can hold down a very demanding job, you can definitely figure this out. It's sounding like it is based on how you wrote this. It sounds like it is one-sided, and it sounds like, yeah, I mean, a big, big red flag is when conversations feel like you're pulling teeth. It's probably not meant to be.
Yeah.
And again,
or if you find yourself overthinking her responses, that's another thing.
Yes, I agree. But I think that if you are continuously feeling like you are trying to pull a conversation out of her, or trying to get her to engage with you, or trying to get her to want to talk to you, it's not looking good. It's not, I don't think that it's worth pursuing any further, because it's likely not going to change. And what's happening is she probably likes having your company and attention every now and then, but she doesn't like it enough to stay committed. She doesn't like it enough to reach out herself. She doesn't like it enough to engage in good conversation.
Right.
And those are all things that shouldn't be overlooked.
Yeah. And it doesn't make her a bad person. It's like, you don't have to go hating her because this is the way that, she is or isn't responding. It's just a sign that she's not the right person for you. And you can be grateful for coming to that conclusion, because now it is your permission like that you probably need to move on. I think her actions or the lack thereof are telling you where she stands. And it's
Yeah.
really not your job to carry that heavy weight of, a budding relationship. It can't be one-sided. And so take that as the green light to move on. She might come back around.
Yeah.
But don't sit around waiting for her, putting all your eggs in that one basket. It's like, keep doing what you're doing. It is working. It might be a little bit slower than what you had hoped, but it is working. And I would also add other strategies into the mix.
Yeah. And I think to your point, like relationships, yes, are hard work, but in the early stages of just talking to someone, that should be when it's at its easiest. And I know when I say that, guys are probably like, well, put yourself in my shoes and tell me that. I get it. But I promise you, when you are speaking to someone who is truly interested in you, truly engaged, and truly wants to or has the same goals of seeing if could be a potential relationship, it is not this hard. It won't be this hard. Yeah. And I always hear that from clients that I work with. They're like, I never knew that it was supposed to be this easy. Like when you are in it with somebody or when you start seeing somebody or start talking to somebody who is just as interested in you, it's like the easiest, most exciting thing ever. Yeah. It's when you actually get into the relationship, that's where the work comes.
Right.
It shouldn't be you working this hard in the beginning to get her to be interested in you, right, or to get her to show you the same level of interest or same level of effort.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think be maybe a little bit more selective about who it is that you're focusing on, like the matches that you get within whatever app. Did he say Hinge? Or did I make that up? I don't know. Whichever app you're using, be a little bit more selective about the people that you're going to focus on. Invest in those people who are engaging in the meaningful conversations that don't make you feel like you have to, like you're pulling teeth. And look for more signs of shared effort in that communication stage early on. Those are the people that are probably going to have a longer runway, and you're not going to find yourself doing all the work.
Yeah. And you also said that you moved from the dating apps to Snapchat. I wouldn't do that. I get why guys do that. And I also know that like guys do that as a way to make her feel more comfortable. Instead of asking for her number right out of the gate, you give her something that's a little bit easier to commit to. I would always recommend moving from the app to getting her phone number. And you don't even have to ask for her phone number. You can give her yours. And then once she's ready, she can message you. So this is just for everybody listening. When you're moving from the app with a match, trying to get out on a date or trying to just get off the app in general, just message her saying something like, hey, I would love to keep chatting over text. If you're interested, here's my number. Or you can give her a date idea. I always suggest give a date idea. So when you're moving off of the app, you would just say, hey, I would love to hear more about your trip to Italy over drinks this Saturday. Here's my number. Let's set it up. And then once she's ready, she will message you. If she's interested, she will message you, right? And so you don't even have to ask for her number. You can give her yours, but that's always a better route than Snapchat. Whenever I had guys that asked for my Snapchat, I immediately disqualified them because I was like, okay, here we go. Another talking stage for 3 months that I don't want. And I don't want to be sitting here having to go back and forth with a guy on an app rather than where he could get my phone number easily if he just asked for it. And so it's like, ask for the number, have the confidence to do that. And then if you love Snapchat, which I think that after you're out of college, especially, we should be moving away from Snapchat fully. But, everybody has their own preferences. But if you really want her Snapchat after you've been talking over the phone, then you can ask for it. But don't ask for it from the app. And then outside of that, yes, I think that you can continue on the apps, but I would start taking advantage of the opportunities that you have in your day to day. I know you're very busy, but when you're traveling all over the place, you should be taking those as opportunities to meet women. Like you said, the distance doesn't really matter because you're traveling all the time anyways. So when you're at the airport, if there is a girl sitting by herself waiting to get on the flight, go sit next to her and start up a conversation. Like, these are the little things that you can start doing that you don't have to make it into this big deal. You can just strike up a conversation over something that is context related. Hey, where are you headed out to? Right? Like, it doesn't have to be anything profound. It does not have to be you walking up to girls and being super flirty or using some cheesy pickup line. Just strike up a conversation and see where it goes, and then decide if you even want her number after that. But use the situations that you already have in your day-to-day life, because most often that's the place that guys are lacking. It's not even that you need to add all of these new hobbies and things to your life. It's that you're not taking advantage of the opportunities that you already have in your day-to-day life. So start there. Start looking for the opportunities that you have in your day-to-day. And then I would say couple that with the dating apps. And like you said, I would be more like
quality over quantity.
Quality over quantity for sure.
Be realistic with your expectations. I think that's a big one. You are obviously a very busy person. So manage your expectations, set the standard that it's quality over quantity. So how many people you are talking to doesn't matter as much as, you know, the types of conversations that are actually leading to deeper conversations or actually that first date. So be focused on that. And however long that takes, it takes. And you value the time that it's taking as investments.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you are a busy person. You are investing the time. If it takes more time, then it's a bigger investment, which will probably pay bigger dividends.
For sure.
So anything else that you want to say to another anonymous?
I think that kind of covers it. Honestly, I think that I get it. It's hard to walk away from something that you've put a lot of effort into, but it doesn't sound like this one is worth pursuing any further. It sounds like she's actually wasting your time at this point. If you're always the one reaching out and initiating conversations, I think it's time to pull back. And if she comes back around and she starts putting in the effort, then you can reconsider. But until then, I would pull back and look at other options.
Yeah. I think the right person, the quality person that he's looking for, is going to meet him with the same energy, the same
1000%.
enthusiasm. So that's what you need to be looking for.
Yeah,
like
1000%.
Literally measure, is she matching what I'm putting out there? Is there a reciprocation?
Right.
So we're like super impressed with what you've done, the path that you're on. Do not mess with the integrity. Don't jeopardize that integrity, because it's like you've worked hard for it.
Yeah.
And so be looking for the woman who's going to match that.
Yeah, totally.
Okay. So on to the last one. You want me to read this one?
Yep, go for it.
Hey, plush quartz. I feel like we're off to a good start with him.
I read it the same way. Honestly, it's like my favorite part of doing these is initially reading these in the first place. And like, I love how into it some of you get into writing these submissions.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And the funny thing is like, he probably didn't even write it like that. That's just how we interpret it.
Yeah. That's not maybe the tone that he took.
But we love it.
Okay. My name is Corey. I'm 25 years old, living in Nashville, Tennessee. Okay. Now we really love Corey.
Yeah. We have a special place in our heart for Nashville.
Love Nashville. I'm working as a government contractor in the HVAC field. My career is solid. I've got a good job and I'm generally outgoing and a well-liked guy. Here's my issue. There's a young lady in my friend group who's a couple years older than me. We've been friends for a few years now, and I've always found her very attractive. She's a conservative woman with great values and a close relationship with her parents. When we first met, we hit it off well. We were part of a larger friend group, hung out often, and I could feel there was a mutual interest between us. But here's the problem. When I'm nervous, my default is to talk a lot. It's my worst habit, and honestly, it annoys me about myself. You know it's bad when it annoys yourself that you talk too much. Oh, okay. I worry that in the beginning, I may have revealed too much about myself too quickly or turned her off by talking too much. Over the years, she's flirted on and off, and I've asked her out before. She was polite, but ultimately said no. Now most of our friends have moved away, and it's just the two of us left in the area. I don't want to waste energy getting hung up on someone who's not interested. But if I did something to create that disinterest, I'd like to know if there's a way to fix it, or at least make it right. I feel I'm an attractive guy, and my mom taught me how to treat a woman. Any advice would be greatly appreciated. Feel free to reach out if you need more details. Thanks, Corey. Oh, well, Corey, again, thank you so much for sharing your story. I think it's great that you have a solid place, like career-wise, and that you're reflecting on your interactions and your habits, and you do have good self-awareness if you're annoyed by your own talking behavior. I think that's a big deal. And I think navigating feelings for a friend can definitely be tricky, especially when you're trying to figure out whether there's potential for something more. So let's unpack this.
Yeah. So I think it's totally normal to, when you get nervous, to talk a lot or to talk really fast or whatever, share too much, right? And this can be a great area of growth for you, of course. Could also be your personality, right? And I don't think that there's anything wrong with being a talker. Like,
I don't either. I think
women would prefer somebody who talks rather than somebody who doesn't.
100%.
Yeah. And so I think that you should be leveraging this as a quality that's really great about you rather than looking at it as something that is bad or is a flaw. Yeah. Because while we can clean it up a little bit and we can work on things so that you feel more confident when you talk and you like have assurance about the things that you talk about, right? Like that is all stuff that can be improved for sure. But also, like, when you stop looking at this as a flaw and like it's something that you need to change, you'll probably stop showing up as somebody who like seems insecure when they talk or like seems like they aren't sure of themselves when they talk. I think that it's really only going to be a problem with women if it seems like you think it's a problem.
Right. I 100% agree.
Yeah. I mean, like, you don't want to be talking a girl's ear off. There should be, I think it's interesting because it depends on the context of the date. Like, if it's the first date, I actually think that you should be trying to let her talk a little bit more, trying to ask her good questions about herself and giving her the space to answer them. But also, women really value having good conversations where it is a back and forth and they have somebody who they can ask a question to, who can answer the question and then carry it on into another conversation. So I really think that you're sitting in a good place.
Yeah. And I would just reframe the way you talk to yourself about talking too much, right? Like, if you're good at talking, I think you're going to be really good at prompting yourself.
Yeah.
Which is so hugely beneficial to be able to ask yourself questions to make better decisions, to move forward. It's an art. It really is. And so I think you can leverage this, reframe it, and be somebody, like you said, it can be an area of growth to better know what can be left unsaid
Right.
right? But still having these active conversations in your mind, I think, is a good thing to kind of bring you to some solid conclusions and
Yeah.
making decisions. I also think it's supernatural to like wonder if it was the nerves or was it me talking too much that might have influenced her initial feelings or her decline on the invitation. Like, who knows? It might have just been a timing thing. Like,
Yeah.
the past doesn't really matter. What matters now is, where we're at. So I would be looking at where you're at currently and move forward from there. Like, stop worrying about the past. It actually has very little to do with the here and now.
Yeah, yeah, and I think again, it depends on the context, but like with this situation, I don't think it's out of the question to try again, right? Like situations do change, and maybe like the more time she's spent with you, the more her interest has grown, maybe, right? And so it's not like it's not worth trying again, but I think once you try and get your answer, then it's time to move forward, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't think that trying now and then like hoping something will change in a couple of months would be advantageous of you. But I think that if you feel like you're in a different place, it's been a couple years since you had last asked her, then I don't think there's any harm in trying again, finding out where she stands with that, and then move forward from there. If she is not in a place where she wants to pursue something, or she politely declines again, you have your answer, and now you can confidently move forward knowing that there was nothing left like unsaid or no rock left unturned with this situation.
Right.
And you can move forward. And if she does say yes, great, then you can be off to setting up the date. But
Yeah. And I think we love to give the advice to just ask her. But if you need a little bit more prompting to decide whether you want to just ask her, I would say look for whether or not she's showing consistent signs of interest. Is she flirting? Is she engaging in deeper conversations? Is she making effort to spend time with you? Do you genuinely feel that there is a potential or there is like romantic feelings there? Or is it just
comfort.
you holding on to the comfort of proximity or friendship? You gotta be honest with yourself and ask yourself those questions.
Yeah.
And then are you prepared for her answer? Like whether she says yes or no to your invitation, are you prepared and can you maintain kind of your boundaries or your kind of self-respect regardless of her answer? I would say those are 3 really important questions to ask yourself before you just ask her.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think that I don't think that there is a need to overthink this one. I think if it's something that you're going to keep thinking about, it probably means that you should just ask her and you should move forward with it. I also think that when it comes to nerves, just reassure yourself that everyone gets nervous. Everybody talks a lot when they get nervous. If you want to improve on that, like my best advice for when you're starting to improve on this is to just slow things down. Just like holding space for a conversation, for her to have a part in the conversation will be enough for you to just kind of like relax yourself enough to like to actually have a two-sided conversation, right? And so just slow things down. Assure yourself that it's not a problem, that you like to talk. Women like to talk too, and they like to talk to guys that like to talk. So it's not a bad thing. As long as you're allowing her to be a part of the conversation, you're doing a good job. So I would just keep that in mind.
Do you have any tips for him on how he can approach her, like what he should actually say?
I'd be curious to know like what the dynamic really is now. You didn't really touch on, you said that she flirts here and there. I don't know if that means that she does that currently or that's how it was before when you asked her. And I would be curious to know like what that looks like, right? Like if she is always asking you questions, if she extends invitations for the two of you to do things together. I mean, you said that all of your friends moved away, so I'm assuming that your guys' interactions are one-on-one here and there at least together. I would say if she is like checking in and asking things like, what are you up to this weekend? Or how was your weekend? Or like, those are good signs that she's asking because she's interested in spending time with you. And so I honestly would just be direct in this situation. I think you've already done it once. I think you can just circle back with her. Like the next time you see her, you should just say, hey, I really value our relationship and how much fun we have together. And I find myself wondering if there could be a potential for more between us. I completely understand and respect if the feelings aren't mutual, but I would be kicking myself if I just let this go unsaid. And then I would just kind of leave it up to her. I don't think
her reaction will tell you a lot about where it is that she stands. If she's interested, I'm guessing she will let you know. And I can't help but believe that she would appreciate your honesty.
Yeah.
You know, and so that if you have a strong enough friendship, it can continue to grow in that friendship category because you're an honest, straight shooter.
Yeah. And I think that because she handled it very politely before, I don't think there's like a risk of like losing the friendship or of things going sideways for you asking this. I think that it's very valid. And I think that she will probably handle it the same way if the feelings, if she still doesn't reciprocate those feelings for you. But at least you'll have your answer. And I think that you'll be able to move forward from there, knowing that you did what you could in this situation and we can put it to rest now and we can start moving forward with somebody who shares the same level of interest.
Yeah, because if hypothetically, if she is not interested, that says nothing about your worth or your value. Like you have shown so much self-awareness and a willingness to grow. Like that is what's going to serve all of your future relationships. She's just not the one.
Yeah.
But you're going to find out a lot quicker if you just ask her.
Right.
And you're going to be set free to move forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree.
I love, you said something earlier kind of about pacing him. I don't think you used the word pacing, but I think if you tend to talk a lot when you're nervous, like pausing and asking questions, even if they're in your own mind, asking yourself questions, but asking the other person question is a great way to keep conversations balanced. So I keep that in mind. That obviously seems to be something that kind of haunts you a little bit. And so I want to make sure that if you're looking for something a little bit more tactical and less about the beliefs
just
around
slow down the pace.
Pace yourself. Yeah, that will help a lot.
Yeah, it just takes practice, right? Like when I was like newly single and in the dating scene, I remember so vividly this one date that I went on that literally I did not give this guy a second to take a bite of his food because I was asking so many questions because I was so nervous. Like I wanted it to go well so badly. And so I was just like rapid fire all the questions. And like, I remember him making a comment like,
"Can I please eat?" Man, I'm starving.
Totally. No, he made a comment. He answered my question and he was like, "I'll give you a second to take a bite of your food." Like him signaling to me that like I need to chill out because I because I am literally not even giving him a second to breathe, let alone eat his food.
Yeah.
So it happens to the best of us. Like, you can use this as a learning opportunity, and just like have empathy for yourself. Of course, when you're nervous, you speed things up and you maybe take a page from my book and rapid fire questions at people. Like, it's okay to be nervous, and it's okay to acknowledge that. And the other person is probably just as nervous, and it's okay to slow things down. Like, you don't need to learn everything about this person in one night.
Yeah.
And it's okay if there are silences or pauses or.
Yeah. And this is like life coaching 101, but could those nerves actually be excitement? Could you believe that what it is that you're feeling is excited, like, or curious? Try to reframe it.
Yeah.
So that you're not making it mean something bad about yourself. Like, nerves can be completely neutral. Like, here's how I like to think about this. When I get nervous about something, like, I ask myself, would I rather not be nervous? Would I rather not, like, have any sort of emotional, like, response to this?
Yeah.
Because that leads to a kind of boring life.
Right.
Like, something that you're getting nervous about, it's often meaningful to you.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you want to be in a life full of meaningful situations? So give yourself a little bit of credit. Of course you're nervous. And you know what? Somebody does not want to be on the other side of a table with somebody who, like, just doesn't care.
Yeah.
Like, there's something, I guess, genuine about the fact that the person on the other side is nervous. Like,
Yeah,
that's
totally.
okay. They're a human being.
Totally.
And so I think, work on a little bit of a reframe with that.
Yeah.
It could also be excitement.
Yeah. And it oftentimes puts the other person at ease when they see you have real
100%.
emotions.
Yeah.
Especially nervousness, right? Oftentimes that just only helps them either empathize with you or helps them figure out how to have the conversation until, like, the nerves kind of come back to ground level.
Yeah.
So
yeah. But Corey, you have a lot going for you for sure. So do not settle for anything less than a connection that feels easy, mutual, and exciting.
yeah,
So
100%.
good luck. Let us know how it goes.
Yeah, keep us in the loop.
Yeah, we'd love to hear an update.
Yeah.
All right. So I think that's it for this week. I think we initially thought we were going to get to 4. This has been a little bit longer.
Yeah.
So we got through 3.
Yeah, if you're liking the show and you want to keep hearing more of it, you want to keep hanging out with us every week, like we said, we love this. It's so fun for us. But please share this with other people. Please give us a rating. I don't know why Spotify makes it like mission impossible to find the rating button, but if you find it,
bonus points
go
if
give
you
it to
find
us. Yeah. Literally a little Easter egg hunt. Go leave us a rating. It only pushes our podcast out to more people so we can help more men and we can start taking a dig at this loneliness epidemic we've got going on. So
Amen.
yeah, we appreciate you all for being here. We appreciate everyone that's written into us. We love reading all the submissions and getting to do the podcast. So
Until next time, take care.
Thanks for listening to Just Ask Her. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to rate and review us. And be sure to follow Gracie on TikTok and Instagram at @datingwithgracie. Thanks again for listening.